All right, let's jump straight into this explainer. If you're managing enterprise IT infrastructure right now, you probably already know that Broadcom's massive post-acquisition shakeup of VMware has just fundamentally rewritten the rules. Consider today's explainer your ultimate war room tactical briefing. We're going to break down the exact strategies you need to navigate this incredibly complex landscape, entirely sourced from Procurement Spectrum's internal strategic brief. Now, prepare yourself for this peak price increase, 1,500%. Yeah, let that sink in for a second. We've observed this unbelievable spike specifically in low-density vSphere legacy renewals. If you're a legacy account treating this transition as just another standard renewal, well, you've essentially just volunteered for a budget-busting spike. You absolutely cannot afford to approach this without a solid strategy. So, to fight back, here is our highly structured battle plan for today. We'll cover the Broadcom price shock, the anatomy of new pricing, maximizing your negotiation leverage, the executive exit business case, our 10-step tactical playbook, and finally securing future renewal protections. Kicking things off with Section 1, the Broadcom price shock, looking at legacy risks and the end of perpetual licenses. The old world? Well, it's pretty much gone. Broadcom officially killed off perpetual licenses, forcing everyone into a subscription-only model. Actually, scratch that. It's not just how you pay, it's what you buy. Standalone legacy point products like vSphere, NSX, vSAN, and ARIA, they're dead. You're now forced into bundled tiers, specifically the full-stack VMware Cloud Foundation, or VCF, and the standard VMware vSphere Foundation, or VVF. And because of this forced bundling, small and legacy accounts are taking the absolute hardest hits, driving effective costs up anywhere between 150 and 1,500% across the globe.
Moving right along to Section 2, Anatomy of New Pricing, where we'll look at the actual benchmarks and constraints.
Okay, you're definitely going to want to commit these next figures to memory. These are the core pricing benchmarks reflecting March 2026 conditions that you absolutely must know before you even think about talking to a sales rep. We're seeing VCF standard sitting at around $350 per core per year. VCF Advanced is pushing for $50 plus, and VFS, where it's actually still available, is hovering around $135 per core. These numbers are your baseline for reality.
Now, the real kicker here is exactly how they are counting those cores. We've shifted completely from CPU-based to per-core licensing. And as of April 2025, Broadcom's instituted a strict 72 core per socket minimum. If you're running high-density environments, this minimum is going to severely inflate your baseline. You absolutely must use precise discovery tools, things like RV tools, vendor-specific capacity planners, or automated scripts to document your exact socket and core counts, because if you don't, you are guaranteed to overpay on day one.
Which brings us to Section 3, maximizing your negotiation leverage using actual market realities. This strategy right here, it's your absolute golden ticket. Gartner is actually forecasting a massive 35% churn risk by 2028. That means 35% of VMware workloads are expected to pack up and migrate elsewhere. You can, and really should, leverage this perfectly during your renewal discussions. Broadcom is incredibly sensitive to migration risk, especially if you're a Tier 1 account. By credibly threatening just a 20% migration of your workloads to alternatives, you can force some highly competitive discounting on the 80% that stays. Let's dive into Section 4, the executive exit business case, weighing staying versus leaving.
You really have to make leadership see the stark contrast. You must pit the cost to stay directly against the cost to exit. The cost to stay means swallowing those mandatory Broadcom VCF bundles, navigating a massive shift to OpEx, and dealing with those brutal 72 core minimums. The cost to exit, on the other hand, involves actively comparing specific infrastructure alternatives. Think Nutanix or the major public cloud providers. By building out this formal model, you shift the whole conversation from how much do we have to pay Broadcom to what is actually the smartest financial move for our infrastructure.
All right, the main event? Section 5, the 10-step tactical playbook, your ultimate procurement checklist.
The very first maneuvers in our playbook start with absolute reality. Step 1, a rigorous inventory audit. Like we talked about, document every single socket and core. Step 2, build out comprehensive 3-year and 5-year total cost of ownership models under this new core-based reality. And Step 3, this is the power move. Launch credible, alternative RFPs to platforms like Nutanix, Hyper-V, or OpenShift. Doing this right out of the gate forces competitive discounting because it proves to them that you aren't just bluffing. Next, we escalate. Step 4 is running a technical proof of concept with at least one of those alternative targets. You need technical proof that you can actually leave. Step 5 is finalizing that formal cost to exit versus cost to stay business case we just covered. And step 6 is huge, VP level engagement. Bypass your standard rep entirely. You want to deploy a peer-to-peer communication strategy, aligning your CIO directly with Broadcom leadership early on to show your migration threat is incredibly real and backed by hard data. Finally, we close the trap. Step 7. Challenge those mandatory bundles. Demand negotiated credits for components like NSX or vSAN that you simply do not use. Step 8. Secure strict contract protections. Step 9. Optimize your multi-year payments. Maybe look at prepayment strategies to balance your CapEx and OpEx. And Step 10. Lifecycle management, where you strictly manage your timeline moving forward.
And wrapping things up with Section 6, securing future renewal protections, locking in that predictability.
First off, you absolutely have to secure 5-year price caps to stop any future staggering spikes. Second, get strict audit protections. You do this by contractually limiting their audit frequency and strictly defining third-party auditor parameters. Broadcom is going to audit you, you need to set the ground rules. And crucially, establish a mandatory 9-month lead time for all future renewals. If you wait until the expiration deadline, you literally lose all your leverage. Starting 9 months out gives you the runway to run an alternative RFP if you have to. The briefing emphasizes a really profound reality here. The 2025 to 2027 transition window is a period of maximum risk, but also maximum leverage. Mobilizing early doesn't just help you survive, it allows you to use this transition to achieve substantially better, leaner, and much more strategic outcomes.
A massive thank you to Procurement Spectrum for the incredible market intelligence driving today's explainer, specifically their critical data on those 15x price spikes and the 35% churn risk. Take this playbook, build your war room, and document those cores. But ask yourself this one final question before your next IT leadership meeting. Are you going to be a victim of this compelled migration risk, or are you going to weaponize your leverage to fundamentally upgrade your infrastructure? Good luck out there.